A very good afternoon. It is 1 p.m. here in Kenya's capital, Nairobi, and this is the ambassador with me, your ambassador Susan Nganga. Here is where we debunk global diplomacy and geopolitics. To our first story, Kenya and the United States enjoy strong national and subnational ties, with California, the wealthiest state in the U.S., being a key partner in innovation, sustainability, and shared prosperity. California's leadership in technology and climate innovation, together with Kenya's Silicon Savannah and our vibrant young and digitally skilled workforce, creates unmatched opportunities for collaboration. Kenya leads in climate action with a 93% renewable energy grid, targeting 100% by 2030 and 100 gigawatts by 2040. President Ruto remarks when he hosted a delegation of California state secretaries and the private sector, led by State Secretary Transportation. Also present was U.S. Embassy Charge d'Affaires, Carla Benini.
How are you? Great. Hello, good people.
President William Ruto reaffirmed Kenya's growing ties with the United States, even as Washington assured him that Kenya remains central to advancing U.S.-Africa policy.
I promise you on behalf of these good people here, colleagues from Kenya, that we are ready, we are willing, we are available to partner and to see what we can do together in a mutually beneficial engagement between our two countries.
The assurance came in the wake of a U.S. Congress decision to launch a high-level review of Kenya's delegation as a major non-NATO ally, a status granted just over a year ago in June 2024. The review is part of a bill sponsored by U.S. Senator James, chair of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee. Acting U.S. Ambassador Carla Benini emphasized that Kenya is a footprint for American projects on the continent.
Kenya, as you know, sir, remains central to our U.S.-Africa policy. When we do something in Africa, we do it in Kenya first. And there's a reason for that. It's because of our shared interests and alignment on governance, on rule of law, and democracy.
Also, President Ruto hosted a high-level delegation from California at State House, led by the State Secretary of Transportation and joined by other senior officials and private sector leaders. Ruto said the delegation reflected the breadth and depth of the U.S.-Kenya partnership, from people-to-people connection to sub-national engagement between states and counties.
Represents the breadth and depth of the people-to-people partnership as well as the subnational partnership. I was actually just in your hometown in Eldoret on Friday and had a fantastic conversation with His Excellency the Governor about his recent trip to Minneapolis, St. Paul, and what they see going forward, exciting opportunities with their sister city partnership.
The president praised California as the wealthiest state in the United States and a key partner in innovation, sustainability, and a shared prosperity.
I believe that the expertise that have been built over many years in California with your technology companies can be laced and infused with African experience. And the young men and women we have in our country that have ideas, they have passion around technology, and they have immense to contribute into that space.
The talks centered on clean energy system, smart agriculture, research, artificial intelligence, trade, and clean transportation.
I think this visit in particular is really exciting because there are so many common priorities. When we look at Kenya, its leadership in AI, in green energy, in agriculture, California's interest in smart agriculture, energy generation. I hear they do some tech, just a little bit. and creative economy, which is something we engaged you with, sir, in Atlanta during the state visit. It was very exciting.
That's correct.
And the embassy continues to lead on those efforts in encouraging U.S. investment together with young Kenyan innovators, influencers, et cetera. I think that's just a huge opportunity. And job growth, I think, is what's really exciting.
Kenya currently sources 93% of its electricity from renewable energy, aiming for 100% by 2030 and scaling up to 100 gigawatts by 2040.
Our energy mix, Minister here will tell you, we are now at 90% renewable. Our target is by 2030, we should progress it to 100%. We are providing also leadership in climate action. We will be in Ethiopia next month for the Africa Climate Summit, which Kenya is leading, to harmonize, to harness, and to package the ideas and suggestions of this continent on matters that are of importance to all of us around climate action, green energy, and what we can do together.
Among the projects discussed, the Africa Clean Transportation Center of Excellence to be established in Nairobi, promoting sustainable mobility solutions across the continent. The meeting underscored a strong, multi-layered partnership connecting nations, states, and communities, and driving green growth, innovation, and economic opportunity for both Kenya and the United States. Susan Nganga, GBS News. Millions of displaced people in the Democratic Republic of Congo are returning home, a sign of progress, but one that comes with serious challenges. New data from the United Nations reveals both hope and hardship as families resettle in areas still plagued by insecurity, disease, and hunger. Here's a closer look at the evolving humanitarian situation in the Democratic Republic of the Congo.
In the Democratic Republic of Congo, more than 3 million displaced people have returned home as of July 2025, a hopeful milestone according to new figures from the United Nations Humanitarian Agency. North Kivu has seen the largest return, with over 2 million people going back to their villages, followed by more than 600,000 in South Kivu. Nationally, the number of displaced people has dropped from 6.9 million in 2024 to 5.9 million this year. But behind the numbers, the reality remains grim.
These families that are returning home don't have land to cultivate and have lost their sources of income.
In North Kivu, some were forced to return after displacement camps in Goma and Nyiragongo were shut down earlier this year, leaving them no alternative.
When we returned, we found many dilapidated houses. The luckiest found their houses without doors and without roofs. We used tarpaulins to cover the houses and crammed into them with other families. And that's how we live so far. If we're lucky enough to return to our own village, we will need to rehabilitate or rebuild our houses, have food, household items until we can harvest the produce from our fields.
The country is also facing a worsening health crisis, battling outbreaks of cholera, measles, and mpox. Food insecurity affects over 27 million people, and 4.5 million children are suffering from acute malnutrition. For millions in the DRC, the return home is just the beginning of another struggle for survival. Elvis Muyodi, GBS News.
Moving forward, Nigerian prosecutors arraigned 5 men accused of carrying out a deadly Islamic militant attack on a California church in Owo, in the southwestern Ondo state, that killed at least 50 worshippers in 2022 and wounded over 100 others. The suspects Idris Omeiza, Al Hassim, Jamil Abdullah Malik, Abdul Halim, and Momo Otuho Abubakar appeared before a federal high court in Abuja, where they were charged under Nigeria's terrorism law.
Guilty and were remanded in the custody of the Department of State Services. The judge adjourned the start of the trial to August 19th.
The ambassador will take a short break. We'll be right back with even more as we debunk global diplomacy and geopolitics.
A student can transition from other curriculums, such as the Kenyan CBC curriculum, the Pearson Edexcel curriculum, and the IB curriculum, to the Cambridge curriculum.
We are going to go straight to the topic of the day, which is AI in education. AI in education.
AI is called artificial intelligence. I think this is something that computer techs designed to make our life easier.
If you just write everything that's on ChatGPT, when you're going to your work or whatever you want to do, your interview, you're going to feel miserable.
We are going to use AI to show out your creativity, then that's not really you who did it, but like there's AI and there's you combined together.
AI should be just there to maybe enhance your points, but not just to generate for you the answers.
I think it's like 50-50 because sometimes it's like, yeah, you're just using it to like enhance like your creativity, and then other times it's like you're just stealing other people's ideas. You're not like really thinking.
Stay tuned as we dive into the vibrant world of creativity and expression.
Practice your work.
Yes.
And when you keep on practicing, you get better,
yes,
better and better each day.
Yes.
And as you get better,
yes,
you get now that niche of yours. Yes.
What advice can you give to those watching who are in a 9-to-5 job, but they have a gift?
My advice would be,
yes,
do not sleep on your talent.
Yes.
Just show it up to the world.
To the world.
Whether it is art, whether it is music, wherever you are gifted, let the world know what you are doing.
Which classic artist would you love to spend one day painting with, and why?
Grandma Moses. She started painting in her 70s.
Oh.
And she excelled.
Yes.
As, you know, she was a painter.
Yes.
But she started painting professionally,
yes,
well past 70s.
Wow.
And by the time she died in 102, she had done marvelously in the art world.
Everywhere, GBS. Welcome back to the bulletin. And now, U.S. President Donald Trump said on Monday that Kyiv and Moscow will both have to cede land to end the war in Ukraine, and talks with Russian President Putin this week will instantly show whether the Kremlin leader is willing to make a deal. European leaders and Ukrainian President Zelensky plan to speak with Trump ahead of his summit with Putin in Alaska on Friday, amid fears Washington may dictate unfavorable peace terms to Ukraine. Now, on other developing news in the United States, on St. Helena in South Carolina in USA, a group of singers breathes life into a century-old Gula spirituals. In the 70s and 80s, and guided by musicologist Eric Crawford, the group has traveled across the USA, performing the Gula spirituals handed down to them by their enslaved ancestors. While from China, it's all about invention as robots take part in the 2025 World Robot Conference.
It's all about culture preservation here on St. Helena Island in South Carolina, United States of America. These Septuagenarians and Octogenarians are safeguarding their Gula Geechee culture.
I didn't thought I would ever get to sing the old song like we're doing now, but I enjoyed so much. It put love all in my soul.
Handed down to them from their ancestors who worked as slaves in the rice and cotton plantations there. They have traversed the United States of America to perform their Gula spiritual.
I never heard the word Gula. Is that Gula, Gula? And so as I began to investigate it, and I understand that songs like Nobody Knows the Troubles I've Seen, Roll Jordan Roll, all these songs that were Kumbaya, these iconic songs, came from this area.
They perform in their traditional Gula Creole language, which has roots in West Africa. This wooden house historically functioned as a worship place for the enslaved and the free black Africans. Over 5,000 Gula descendants keep their ancestors' tradition here alive. Meanwhile, in Beijing, China, credence is here given to the saying, necessity is the mother of invention. And investors are proving that what a man can do, a robot can do better. At the 2025 World Robot Conference, robots fought in a boxing match as well as playing a football match.
It's amazing. I've seen a lot of new innovations, new technology.
Traditionally, robots were confined to science fiction fantasies. However, they now feature in a reality unfolding at the ongoing World Robot Conference in Beijing. A proof that beyond entertainment, robots can serve in industries as patrons as well as inspection tasks.
Very interesting news there. And now, President Donald Trump announced that he is placing the Washington, D.C. Police Department under direct federal control and deploying National Guard troops to the nation's capital, saying the move is aimed at restoring order in the city. The president has repeatedly complained about rising crime in the D.C., but overall crime numbers are lower this year than in 2024. The report is brought by Davis Karani.
U.S. President Donald Trump says he is taking over Washington Police Department and activate 800 members of the National Guards in the hopes of reducing crime, even as city officials stressed crime is already falling in the nation's capital. The president, flanked by his Attorney General, his Defense Secretary, and the FBI Director, said he was declaring a public safety emergency and his administration will be removing homeless encampments.
We're going to be removing homeless encampments from all over our parks, our beautiful, beautiful parks, which now a lot of people can't walk on. They're very dirty, we've got a lot of problems. But we've already started that. We're moving the encampments away, trying to take care of people. Many places that they can go, and we're going to help them as much as you can help. But they'll not be allowed to turn our capital into a wasteland for the world to see. The Metropolitan Police Department and the federal authorities will be supported in the effort, a really big effort, the 800 DC National Guardsmen that we'll put on, and much more if necessary, much more.
Crime in DC is ending and ending today. We are going to use every power we have to fight criminals here. President, thank you for caring about our capital. Families come here every summer. Our museums are free. We have the National Zoo. We have the National Gallery. DC should be a place where everyone can come and feel safe. Behind me and to my side, we have some of the best career law enforcement and prosecutors in the country who are ready to take this on.
The District of Columbia's status as a congressionally established federal district gives a unique opportunity to push its tough on crime agenda though it has not proposed solutions to the root causes of homelessness or crime.
We stood up a task force out in my Northern Virginia field office, and we said, let's let good cops be cops. Let's get them the intelligence and what they need, and let's get the red tape out of their way, and let's get DOJ partnered up with us to bring great prosecutions, and that's exactly what we did. In 1 month, we arrested 545 violent felons. 545 in the state of Virginia, thanks to Governor Youngkin's partnership. And that simplicity in law enforcement is what's coming to Washington, D.C. When you let good cops be cops, when you give them the intel they need, when you work with our Homeland Security Task Force, when you work with Terry and Gaddy and I go way back to Miami, these guys are great leaders of the respective departments and law enforcement capacities. And when you have the DOJ and President Trump driving behind this mission, we are going to clean up Washington, D.C., and we're going to do it the right way, the lawful way, and we're going to make sure Washington, D.C. is safe again.
The FBI provided the media with a photo of Director Kash Patel speaking to the FBI agent in the tactical vests on Monday outside of the U.S. Park Police Anacostia Park Station amid President Donald Trump's federal takeover of the D.C. police.
So the process begins right now. It actually started over the weekend, and we confronted a lot of very bad people. But it's going to be something that will be pretty amazing to you as you watch it. And I think most of you say it's a beautiful thing to do it right.
So having our Metropolitan Police Department working alongside of our federal partners who have come into the city to really help us assess and deal with the crime, some of the crime spikes that we have, we will work alongside them, but intentionally, we want to make sure that our community understands that we are there. We're going to be boots on the ground. If you see something, again, say something. We value those relationships, our community members, and I want to say thank you for all the work that you've done with the Metropolitan Police Department up to this point. Those relationships are very, very important to us, and we want to continue to build upon that and continue to enhance that.
Davis Karani for GBS News.
And now to our earlier story. U.S. President Donald Trump said on Monday that Kyiv and Moscow will both have to cede land to end the war in Ukraine, and talks with Russian President Putin this week will instantly show whether the Kremlin leader is willing to make a deal. European leaders and Ukrainian President Zelensky plan to speak with Trump ahead of his summit with Putin in Alaska on Friday, amid fears Washington may dictate unfavorable peace terms to Ukraine.
To end more than 3-year-old war.
There'll be some land swapping going on. I know that through Russia and through conversations with everybody. To the good, for the good of Ukraine. Good stuff, not bad stuff. Also, some bad stuff for both. So there's good and there's bad.
Trump's comments come just days before his highly anticipated meeting with Russian President Vladimir Putin in Alaska. European leaders and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky plan to speak with Trump ahead of his summit with Putin, amid fears the U.S. may dictate unfavorable peace terms to Ukraine. Zelensky warned on Monday that any concessions to Russia will not persuade it to stop fighting. In an evening video address, Zelensky said there was no signs Russia was preparing to end its hostilities in Ukraine, saying they are moving their troops and forces in such a way as to launch new offensive operations, and adding, if someone is preparing for peace, this is not what is done. While Zelensky will not be in attendance at the Alaska summit Friday, Trump said he would immediately relay the details of the conversation to the Ukrainian leader and expressed optimism about future meetings.
The next meeting will be with Zelensky and Putin, or Zelensky and Putin and me. I'll be there if they need, but I want to have a meeting set up between the two leaders.
Putin has made a flurry of calls in recent days, speaking to leaders of China, India, and Brazil, and 3 ex-Soviet states to brief them on his contacts with the United States. European leaders are expected to meet on Wednesday to discuss how to pressure Russia ahead of the call with Trump. The Trump administration has not disclosed its proposed territorial exchange or any mechanism to ensure that Putin complies with a ceasefire and does not try to overrun more than Ukraine. Reporting for GBS TV, I'm Paul Hermine.
Well, a stellar report, and we'll keep him updated on that as it develops. And that's all for today here at The Ambassador 1 p.m. I am your Ambassador Susan Nganga. Have a good afternoon.